Pregame.com.
Welcome back to Pregame.tv. Preakness 2013. I'm here with Dave Tuley from the Daily Racing Forum, A View from Vegas on Twitter. He's everywhere, this guy. He's my partner in crime for the horse racing Triple Crown action. I'm Marco D'Angelo. Preakness on Saturday. Dave, are we looking at history here? Every year, you know, you talk going to the Preakness because you got a possibility. There's a horse wins the Derby. We're live for the Triple Crown. And but I think this year we might really be looking at a legitimate contender for a Triple Crown.
I agree, and usually I'm the first one who tries to take the contrarian view, say no, this horse isn't a super horse. Even Big Brown in 2008, one is a favorite. A lot of people were saying he was the horse. I was against him. He did win the Preakness,
yeah,
but then didn't win the Belmont. But the last few years, we've had Super Saver, Animal Kingdom. I'll have another. They were a little bit bigger prices that won the Derby. Wasn't much of a slam dunk that people were jumping all over the bandwagon, although there is a certain amount of bandwagon jumping because I think people are hoping that we will have it. I would love to knock Orr, but I'm having a really hard time finding things to knock about him. I mean, he's done everything that's been asked of him. He won impressively, and this could be the one.
Well, I look at this horse. He comes into this race. He's 4 for 4 this year. He's getting better in every race. This horse hasn't peaked yet. And I know there's a lot of people, we threw up the big buyer number in the Derby. And so automatically you'll have the guys with the bounce factor. This horse, did you watch him gallop out after the Derby? It's like he didn't even race. This week, another impressive workout. And his trainer, which, Shug McGay, he's a guy, there's a lot of guys that are flamboyant and like to, for lack of a better word, to blow smoke up your butt about their horses. This guy's always been low-key. He threw out the term after his workout this week, the word freak. And we know when you start talking freak and freakish in horse racing, that is the highest compliment that you can give to a horse. And this horse, the last 3 races, the last 16th of a mile, that's what I'm looking at. This horse is striding out in his competition, is looking for the finish line. This guy's looking for more. He's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, and obviously, the Derby, 20-horse field, 19 this year. So much to overcome, and he obviously did that. The Preakness is generally an easier spot for the Derby winner. It's been very formful. I think his last 48 Preaknesses, I was just writing about this at predictionmachine.com, where I also do a column. And the last 48 Preaknesses where the Derby winner ran, they've won 39% of the time.
Nice.
So it's very solid, and that doesn't include Animal Kingdom last year, who went off as the second choice to Bodemeister. So the odds maker in the public
still trying to figure out how that happened. Yeah, but and take that stat, which is impressive, going even further back. I know in the last 11, 5 Derby winners have repeated in the Preakness, 5 of the last 11. And, also what we've seen, and we'll talk about that with some other horses in the videos, the Preakness, it's a race that you're going to get some new shooters in it, but generally form kind of has a history of repeating itself. The horses that raced well in the Derby seem to come back and race well again in the Preakness. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, again, I'm not going to bet any money horse for people that know me already. But, I still think there's some horses to take a shot at. Like I said, we'll talk about that later. And, so I'm still going to try and beat them. But, the Preakness is probably the Triple Crown race I bet the least on, just because, I've got my head handed to myself trying to do too much. So I'll take my shots, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, we've talked about Orr. He is the horse to beat, no question about it. There are some other horses in this race. We're going to bring them up next and see if anybody can beat Orr on Saturday. Up next, we're going to take a look at a horse that was a big disappointment, got a lot of action. A lot of people liked him in the Derby, but he was nowhere to be found at the end, and that's number 2, Golden Sense. We'll talk about him next on Pregame.tv.